Welcome to my new podcast, Simon Shee's podcast named Grit. And I believe this word, grit, means a lot to a lot of people. It's no matter how much talent you have, you need hard work, perseverance, determination to succeed at a high level. And I have with me Yusuke. Yusuke, how are you doing?
I'm good today, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So we both had a morning practice today.
Yes, we did.
Today we did, as a team, just a couple warm-up, a 2,000 swim set, and then relay, kind of some team bonding, and got ready for the next week. What did you do this morning?
We had something a little more different. We had some more dry land-based work at the beginning, and then after that, just some good technique work, really getting a good feel of the water before we start ramping it up for the upcoming season. So it was nice. We had near the end, we did some 25 drills, kick, and DPS stuff mixed in with some land work, pull-ups, and push-ups, just to mix it up for a change. Have some fun with it. So
Okay, nice. Yeah. Well, before we get into some of these questions, let's go over a little background about ourselves. So I'll start. My name is Simon Shee. I'm a senior at Virginia Tech. I swim breaststroke, IM, or the individual medley, all four strokes. I study computer science currently, and I have 25 more credits left between my last two semesters. I went to high school at Northern Virginia in Leesburg, and I was actually born in Canada, in Montreal, Quebec. And when I was 2 years old, I moved down to Virginia, and that's where I grew up. And my parents are from China, so I kind of have the three-country background, really Canada, U.S., and China. Wow. And yeah, I actually visited China 2 weeks ago, so just got to see all my family, and swam at the Canadian Championship Nationals, and right before I went to China.
That's fantastic.
And different hobbies I like, Rubik's Cube solving.
He's got a whole bunch of them here.
Right there, yeah. I have a YouTube channel that has 29,000 subscribers, and one of the videos got 13 million views, and I was pretty impressed.
That is fantastic.
And I like to do a lot of activities as well. Like, if I see something that I want to learn, I go learn it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that's a little about me.
Fantastic.
What about you?
Well, my name is Yusuke. I am from Surrey, in the United Kingdom. I swim sprint freestyle, generally in the 50 and the 100 regions. I am not a college student. I graduated from Duke University this past May, and I now swim here at Virginia Tech in the postgrad group. And so we train separately from the college kids. A little bit more about, I went to Eton College in the United Kingdom, and so yeah, growing up, my father's English and my mother is Japanese, so I'm half there. And then I was born in the UK, but I lived in Japan for a couple years up until the age of around, I want to say 6, and then I came back to the UK, and I've lived there until college, where I eventually made the move to the US to come to college at Duke and spent my 4 years there, and now seeing into the real world, I guess.
So you were born in the United Kingdom?
Yes, I was born there in 1996, and yeah, I definitely say I identify more as British, since that's where I did most of my growing up.
And you went to elementary school, middle school, high school there as well?
So I think I started school like the first 2 years in an international school in Tokyo. But outside of that, yes, I went to school in the United Kingdom.
Oh, in Tokyo. That's
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so, it's nice being able to speak 2 languages and have that Japanese side there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, and then how did you get into Duke? Did you contact different colleges? Like, what other colleges were you getting in touch with?
Well, I always knew how to swim growing up. I learned at a young age, but for me, I only swam like high school seasons, which in the UK is just the summer. So it was like 2 or 3 months, and I never really took swimming seriously. So it was around my just going into my junior year of high school, one of the local clubs, the coach comes down to watch a high school session, and he invited me to come swim at his club. And that's when I decided to swim full time, like all year round.
Junior year of high school.
Yeah, going just before my junior year. Yeah.
So in the U.S., juniors like 17 years old, 16 years old for some people. Is that
around 16, 15, 16. Yeah, that was about the age I decided to take up swimming full time. Like I gave up playing soccer and all the other sports that you play. Yeah, I said soccer because it's normally football. Just for you viewers. But yeah, so I was pretty late and I wasn't too fast coming out of high school. So it was pretty hard to really have a conversation with any D1 colleges in the US. But I knew I wanted to come to America just because it's a very unique place where you have high level of academics in hand with athletics at the same time. And it's another adventure, another country. So I was pretty set in coming here into to the US, and I talked to Duke. Like they really admired how good they were, both athletically and academically. And I was fortunate enough to be able to walk onto the team, like get in, and they let me onto the team. So that was a lot of fun. So
what other colleges did you look into?
I didn't really look into much else, honestly. Like I was pretty sold on Duke, honestly. An up and coming swimming program, as well as the fact that the academics for me was a huge attraction part.
So when you first came to the U.S., you had to most likely swim yards, right?
Yeah.
So that was probably the first time you swam yards?
Yes, that was the first time I swam yards. And
how was that feeling? Just the pool is so much shorter.
I mean, even in my senior year, there were some times when I had to remind myself, just get used to it, because like if you do a 200, for example, you're finally getting into stroke, and then you got to turn all of a sudden. So that was kind of something to adjust to. But generally, people will say it's a good thing. You don't have to swim as much, is what they'll say. But I've always been a long course swimmer myself, and I preferred that. And it was some getting used to, but it's fun nonetheless. You don't really think about it too much after a while.
Yeah.
It's just 2.5 meters shorter. I think that's the math behind it, at least.
Yeah, when I was at the Canada Nationals, I came a week early to Canada, and they had short course meters, long course meter, but nothing like in the yards, no yards, and I just kind of miss swimming yards.
Wow.
But now I'm back.
Now you're back at the
It's definitely a different experience, or a different swimming approach when swimming long course and short course.
No, I definitely agree with that. It's like, even if it's just short course meters to short course yards, you definitely feel there's a difference to that. And so but the biggest jump is obviously when you go from that short course yard situation to a long course pool, and like swimming is a whole nother ball game in that respect. It's tactics change in a race, and you have to adjust to that when necessary. You need more endurance, obviously. So that's the fun part about swimming, I guess. Different settings.
All right, so I gotta ask you about your college experience. Going back for your 4 years at Duke, what was the most important lesson you learned? I know there's a bunch of high school swimmers, college swimmers, freshmen that look up to seniors or upperclassmen in college, and they want to know like any advice or any great lessons you took from your 4 years.
There's definitely some good lessons I've taken away from my 4 years in college. The one that springs to mind straight away is time management. I went to boarding school in high school, and you get some good independence there. It kind of preps you up well, but I was very much used to finishing my homework at the very last minute and just getting it done, and like doing well in school, but you kind of procrastinate a lot. And when you go into a college environment, it's not the same as high school. Like, yes, homework is still due at a certain point and stuff, but when you take on the athletic side, it's over 20 hours you're committing in the week if you include like going to the pool, eating, recovery stuff, going to see the trainer alongside your practice. And
showering too, getting dressed.
Right, it's not just the
driving there, walking to the pool.
Absolutely. So it's not just the 20 hours that you're putting in a practice. It's the whole like the commute to some extent.
And like those little commutes, like 10 minutes to practice, 10 minutes back, 5 minute changing, those times adds up. Like you have 9-10 practices a week, they definitely add up and add up.
No, they add up, and you're completely right. And it's being able to manage your time effectively, to get your homework done early enough so you can perform well, and then decrease the stress in practices, but also get to bed early. Because as swimmers, we're having to get up pretty early for morning practices. And my freshman fall, I did not learn that lesson very well, and I was staying up a lot, just not doing well in school nearly as what I'm capable of. So it ended up with me withdrawing from a class because I was just not there with it. And I knew I could do better than that in the class, and it was just getting your homework done early and not procrastinating. And once I learned that lesson, I came back the next semester, got an A in that class, but and then my swimming also took off as well. It was definitely an improvement there in that lifestyle.
What year was that when you took off in swimming and you succeeded in that class?
I mean, I learned the lesson freshman fall. I was seeing improvements through my freshman spring, but I think I really took off to another level in swimming in that summer going into my sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else? I think right now, before my graduation, one of my lessons is the same thing, time management. We're not just on paper it just looks like we're swimming, doing weightlifting, doing dryland workouts,
Yes.
20 hours a week. That's the max for NCAA. And even more if we're traveling for swim meets.
Right.
You're missing class Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you're just at the other college or the other place for the whole day. So that's like way more than 20 hours.
No, that's a great point.
And just going, just waking up, just prepping, going to practice,
Absolutely.
taking a shower, chat in the locker rooms, getting dressed, walk back. And also another important point I used was the support system that we have. We have nutritionists, we have sports psychologists, academic advisor.
Yes.
And I would meet with them maybe once a week, once a month.
Yeah.
And that also takes time. Meet with a nutritionist, figure out my body weight, my body composition, sports psychologist to see how I can improve mentally.
Absolutely.
So with all that, I think you really just have to stop procrastination.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like we were just saying, there's so much more outside of what the schedule shows. There's a lot more depth to it in terms of the commute and seeing the external people and the resources available to you.
Yeah, so, just like a part-time or full-time job.
Right. If you're a student, if you're a D1 student athlete, it is like having a close to a full-time occupation at the same.
Yeah.
So.
With the swim schedule and all the classes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Definitely.
It's a lot.
Very close, or maybe match the full-time job.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, what's the favorite race of college season? Your college career?
My favorite race.
That you remember the most? I think mine is the 200 IM my sophomore year at ACCs. So 2018. Because I just dropped 2 seconds. I went 147. And just very satisfied with that race. I didn't make finals, but I think that really... I haven't dropped time in 200 IM for a while, and just getting that off my chest was very good for me.
No, that's fantastic. Great to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow, favorite race. I think the one that sticks out to me right now is, going to Duke. You always have that rivalry down the road with UNC.
Right.
And this past year I think it was my final college dual meet. So it was my final dual meet against, of all people, UNC at their pool on their senior day. And going into that last relay, we had to, I think a win sealed it for us. And you're just so hyped to get up there. And we've beaten them the past 2 years, and you wanted to keep that train going, end on a high note, and we won pretty comfortably, honestly, and I just remember that being such a fun moment, sharing that with the entire team, and that whole emotion of beating your rivals and stuff like that. That's probably one of my favorite races in college.
Wow, nice. And so you're after graduation. Congratulations on graduating.
Thank you.
What's your major?
Oh, economics. Yeah.
Economics.
So I majored in economics with a finance specialization, and then got a certificate in markets and management and decision science.
Right.
So
So what's the next couple months looking like for you?
Well, the next year is looking pretty much continue this training that I've started here in Blacksburg, and try see what I can do on the individual stage, on the Olympic stage. See if I try push for a spot on the Great Britain team, and that's pretty much my main focus. I also have a job just working from home for a simulation consulting firm, and so that's been really a lot of fun as well. It's good to have a hobby outside of swimming to take your mind off it and not be always in that zone. So it's a pretty relaxing thing to have as well.
So is that your at-home job? Is that full-time or is that part-time?
That's full-time.
So you're working 40 hours a week on that?
Yeah.
Wow. And doing a swim schedule?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
That's good. Well, it's always a good thing working from home. More flexibility.
A lot of flexibility, so I appreciate the trust that they've given me. That my company, the company I work for, Mosum Tech. So, very fortunate in that regard.
So, what's gonna happen after Tokyo, or do you not know yet?
Right now, the plan is once I'm done swimming, whenever that is, I'll probably move up to Washington D.C. and then work from the office, because we're based out of that area. Okay. So that's where it's looking at right now.
So you don't think you'll move back to the United Kingdom?
No, not right now. No.
You want to stay and work in the U.S.?
Yes. Yeah. What about yourself?
So next couple months, a year, finish college swimming, either February, March, depending on if I make NCAAs. Then currently in the process of finding a job after graduation as well. So I'm not sure where I want to work at, but got to do some research.
Absolutely.
There's a couple career fairs coming up, so get my resume ready, go talk to some companies, then see if I get accepted, and I think I'll just start working and keep the YouTube as a side hobby, because I am making some extra side income.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. So, in your time at Virginia Tech, what's the biggest change for you? We talked about lifestyle changes, the time management, and asking for, being able to use your resources available to you. But outside of that, what is the biggest difference that you've seen coming from that high school swimming atmosphere to college?
Let me talk about two things. When I was in high school, there wasn't really a team atmosphere.
I'd agree with that.
For my club team and the high school team, there's some energy, but nothing compared to what we have here.
Yeah, definitely.
In college, we very loud on the pool deck. At the end of dual meets, that final relay, everyone's just going nuts, and the pool deck gets really insanely loud, and just the team environment, just how close we are as a family to lift each other up during practice, during meets, and that's just instant. One of the things I noticed. And the other thing is just having to do all this time management, all the things by yourself, because you don't have your parents telling you what to do. And sometimes we abuse that time and we do other stuff. Some people play video games, procrastination happen, do something else. So I think we really have to be careful about what we do, because no one's telling you what to do.
I agree with that.
And last year I was struggling in the fall, my junior year, and because I just wasn't reaching out to people
that's
getting help.
That's the biggest thing.
And I started reaching out to my coach, academic advisor, and just having a plan to get to pass my class and be healthy.
No, I definitely agree with that last point, no doubt. I think, you know, to some extent you see in society that, like, a lot of people have a lot of pride, and they think that asking for help is a bit of a weakness. It shows weakness.
Or embarrassment.
Right, embarrassment. And I've definitely fallen into that trap myself. And I think especially when you're a student athlete, the resources are there for a reason. There is a reason why they give you, like, you have access to a sports psychologist, to an academic advisor, to a tutor, because they're all there to help you. And I think being able to ask for help is actually one of the most underrated skills, I think, out there, especially in the workforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What else?
I think we're about time. We're at the 20-minute mark.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Biggest
Let's see the
takeaway
list.
from college.
We did that.
Yes.
Oh, when did you start? It's like swimming non-competitively.
Non-competitively, I definitely knew how to swim when I was younger. Around, goodness, maybe 5 or 6. I want to say.
Wow, that's.
So, like, just I knew how to swim. I think it's a pretty good. It's an important skill to have, honestly. But yeah, like I said, I took up swimming like full time, like competitive swimming, going into my junior year of high school.
I think I started at 7 years old, and then competitively at 11 years old.
Oh, that's fantastic! Great.
So for when's the Great Britain's Olympic trials? Do they have one?
Yeah, they do. It's in April, mid-April.
Mid-April.
So that's that's marked on my calendar, I'd say.
And is it like the U.S. top 2 in each event goes?
So the qualifying standards aren't quite as clear-cut as that. I think there's times that you have to hit, and depending on the event, like they may or may not take relays. I think it may be an accumulation part. I try not to focus too much on the results side. That's something I've definitely learned in college swimming in my time, is that, you know, I can get very mathematical, very logical, and suddenly become very results oriented. And that's just not healthy for you when you're trying to swim fast. You need to turn off your brain, essentially, and not think about the result, and just let the work show through. And so what I'm trying to do is, you know, not worry too much about the results, and just, I've now in the last, you know, couple months really learned to just enjoy racing and just be in the moment.
The process. Trust the process. Enjoy the process.
Exactly.
It's just a process.
Embrace the pain that you feel in those last 10 meters. Like, that's exactly what you work for. So yeah. Every day I just try to come in, get better, and just enjoy the fact that I'm still able to swim at such a high level, you know. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so I think we're about time. Thank you so much for coming by and chatting with me.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for watching this podcast, and yeah, that's it. See you guys soon.
Thank you.